Alright everyone, this is Ash. Welcome back to the King's Speech. I've been on my way from the channel for a while, but like I mentioned, it is busy season for me, so I've been doing a lot of overtime. I haven't really had the time or energy to kind of dedicate to these videos, but now that I've built up quite a little bit of a respectable backlog, I figure I might as well get around to this before it becomes a little bit too much of a heavy weight on me. We're getting around to all the Shonen Jump stuff this week. Just finished recording videos for the latest Kaiju chapters as well as Goku Rakugai. So getting caught up with the latest Akane-Banashi chapters. So a lot of good stuff is going to be coming your way this week and weekend. So if you haven't already, please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. But without further ado, let us dive into it with Akane-Banashi, Story 104, The Promise of the Past. It's the story by Yuki Suenaga, art by Takamasa Moe, with translation by Stephen Paul and lettering by Sneer Aron. And we do a little flashback to, I assume, like, young adult Chocho, Shinta, and Taizen. So you have, "Not again, you foolish Senza!" You see Shinta's looking like properly admonished, while Taizen's kind of just like looking stoic and stone-faced. And Chocho's just like grinning. Like, "Didn't I tell you? Have the snacks laid out backstage." It's like, "I did not tell you 3 Zenza to eat them all." And you see his Chocho's like, as like, friends like the guy, one of the other, Arakawa, not the Arakawa, one of the, God, I can't remember what the hell the name is for them. One of the other performers, like, handing him a bag of taiyaki. It's like, "Master," and Shinto's like, I'm sorry, I should have checked after Chocho gave me the taiyaki just to be sure. I should have known." And he's like, "Don't be so hard on yourself. It's fresh-baked taiyaki, you know. It'd be rude not to eat them before they get cold." He's like, "It's your fault!" And Taizen's like, "He just had to say it. So what really ticks me off is you! I see that look on your face. It says, 'Shut up about the stupid taiyaki.'" And he's like, you see him just like scowling, Taizen just scowling after he says, like, "Just say something! First you eat the taiyaki I was looking forward to, and now you give me attitude?" And you see him just like throwing stuff around. I was like, no, that's just what Taizen does when he panics. It's like, "Thanks a lot, Tainoji. Now I'm in big trouble." It's like, "You told me to eat it." It's like, "What? You ate most of them?" And Shinta's like, "Why did I get yelled at when I only ate a single one?" And Chocho's like, "No worries." Like, "Yes, worries!" Yeah, back then, I assumed that things would always be like this. And is he back at the present with, "What are you all doing here?" It's like, "Oh, is the landlord gathering all the row house tenants up? Guess what I just heard from the steward. The landlord's kid dug up a statue of Daikoku, god of fortune, out of the dirt. It's an auspicious sign, a cause for celebration, so we're going to have a big feast." It's like, "Really?" It's like, "However, when you come into the house, you must wear a fine Hayori coat and give a little speech," he said. It's like, "Oh." It's like, "But this is a decrepit row house full of broke men. There was only one Hayori between all of them put together. The plan, therefore, was for each person to take turns wearing the coat so he could enter the premises. Yeah, good afternoon." It's like, "Kuma-san, thank you for coming." He's like, speech. I'm not good at these things." Like, we just see him like waffling around. He just does like a glare. He's like, "Why are you glaring at me?" He's like, "I didn't mean, the weather is very fine today. It's like, and it will be fair tomorrow too. As for next month, who can say?" Like, I'm sorry, that's not what I wanted to say. It came out wrong." He's like, "Why are you here then?" He's like, "Enough of this. You've got a feast prepared, don't you? What's the point if you don't eat it fresh? Let's get on with it and eat." Yeah, look at this guy. Having the time of his life, and he never does that. He just had to go and get inspired. It's like, "In a hurry, are we? Go on in." He's like, "But if I don't pass on the Hayori, the others can't." It's like, "Oops." It's like, "Hayori?" It's like, "Did you tell them they needed that steward?" "It's fine. Bring them all in. Let's have a party." And you go back to the flashback with, "Here we are, drinking cheap beer in a park. Some party." It's like, "Wonder when we can afford to have drinks at a proper bar like the Masters." It's like, seriously, it's hard to imagine at this point. Being a Shinichi like them, having our own apprentices. Speaking of which, if I get apprentices, I'm going to hold a splashy debut event for them, even when they advance to Futatsume. Shinta's like, "Just for Futatsume?" It's like, "Listen, that's what's worth celebrating more than getting freed from working backstage." It's like, "I guess the 3 of us can give speeches at the debut. And by that point we'll be," he's like, "Okanban." It's like, "Gaha, I like it. That's a good idea. Shinoji, Tainoji, let's make a promise. Once we're all Shinichi, we'll get big and famous, and on our apprentice's debut, we'll get drunk on the good stuff." And you have, "The future didn't turn out the way we'd imagined, but at the very least, we can make good on the promises of the past." So you have the story of the golden Daikoku, is like Taizen's holding out like a little sake cup to toast. You have, "Yeah, just like I thought. Master Taizen's a really nice person." Chocho's like, "Of course he is. He's my pal." Like, sorry. You see him just like, as he's closing his eyes, like imagining him as kids when they're doing like the little toast. So, man, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, this feels a little bit rushed pacing wise, with like how quickly they're introduced like Taizen's whole thing, like his whole like relationship with Chocho and Shinta. Like, it feels like they're just trying to cram in as much as they can to kind of like elicit like a connection with the readers with this chapter. So I don't really know how I feel about it. Like, because I feel like the sense it's supposed to give you is kind of like this sense of like melancholy, a little bit like melancholy and despair, like, you know, what could have been, what was, kind of that kind of stuff. And I don't feel like it really gets that across. And I feel like it's the same with this performance, where it's like, you know, the whole like tension release stuff with the last chapter. I feel like, again, I feel like where we kind of see the limits of Akane-Banashi as a story manga medium, with like, you know, Rakugo kind of being a storytelling medium that relies so much on like all these other senses. Because I don't think like you get the full extent or impact of what Taizen's trying to do with like the different facial expressions and like the glaring and everything else that he's getting across to the audience. Especially with like the story, also like the story kind of going from like one landlord story to the other. I don't know if that's supposed to imply like he's doing like two different landlord stories or what was going on. But yeah, just it felt very disconnected, this chapter. Like, I couldn't fully get around to like what exactly this chapter was trying to achieve. So yeah, I don't know. Like, the art was phenomenal again, but I don't know how I feel about this chapter. We'll see what the next couple of ones do, but yeah, a little bit of a disappointment. With that said, I hope you all did enjoy this video. Like I mentioned, I will get caught up on all the Shonen Jump stuff this week. So a lot of good content coming your way. So if you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until next time, this is Ash. I'll talk to you all later.